And we just heard from the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate in the February 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar, who was addressing the press. This comes just a few days after the Supreme Court of Nigeria made the final decision in the presidential election disputes that had occurred between himself, the presidential candidates of the Labour Party, as well as now President Bola Tinubu of the APC. I'm Tolulope Adelere Balogun. You are, of course, watching News Central, and Dashen is joining me now. Dashen?
I'm Dashen Usman. Thank you so much for joining us. And Tolu, talking about what the presidential candidate of the PDP had actually just said, I think this is a way for him to actually find closure because he's actually, done so much after the elections. He went to the PEPC and then the Supreme Court, and he still came out, let's just say, you're not the winner of the elections. And I think it's a way for him to actually find closure. And he talked about, fighting for democracy, fighting for the Nigerian people, and he said a whole lot. He talked about the judges, that's the judiciary being compromised. He talked about the judiciary, being the last hope for the common man, being compromised, and when it comes to appointment and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, so he actually said that the judiciary is no longer the last hope; it is now the lost hope. As you said, Atiku Abubakar said a number of things, but I'm not sure if this is actually closure we're seeing because he did get a round of applause when he said, "I'm not going away. If you think that, if you think I'm going away, you can forget about it." And even though the elections of 2023 are still not even a year old, there are already some underground murmurings and speculation if whether or not Atiku Abubakar will run for the next set of elections in 2027. So that's a conversation or something that we might just put further on. But he made mention of a number of recommendations for the judiciary, recommendations as well for INEC, and even for the democratic process. One of the things I found quite interesting is he also called out members of the PDP who are now in the National Assembly. And it seems that we might see the party attempt to push through a number of amendments within the National Assembly. So he did say that, of course, he expects members of the National Assembly to attempt to amend the electoral laws to ensure that we see technology being used in place. This has been a massive point of contention in this particular election. That's the uploading of the results to the IREF server. He has continued to castigate INEC on that as well. So he's asked that, of course, members of the PDP in the National Assembly make sure that they go forward to entrench that into the Electoral Act. He also talked about a number of things. I'm trying to, the notes are plenty because he started speaking just around about 11:45 this morning. He just finished his press conference now. And so the number of things that he said continuously are now, we might expect to be seeing the PDP as a political party attempt to push through some of these things in the National Assembly. He made recommendations even for the judiciary as well. And in the National Assembly members, he said, "Did you hear me? We must provide that all litigation arising from disputed elections must be concluded before the inauguration of a winner, and that the current time frame is adequate to dispense with all litigation, and that if we do not, it only encourages bandits rather than discouraging that." So hoping to see possibly the party attempt to push through some of these electoral recommendations. That's one of their party leaders particularly has put forth. He also said that he wants to see us move from a 4-year tenure and the option to return to a single 6-year tenure, a single 6-year term with rotation among the six geopolitical zones in Nigeria as well, to prevent the ganging up of 2 or more political zones to the exclusion of others. INEC must also verify credentials, and what he's seen before him has been either negligence or collusion on the part of INEC when it comes to the issues around credentials and verification. So definitely the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, I beg your pardon, has said a lot. There's going to be picking up parts of what he said, recommendations about the judiciary, recommendations, and the finger pointing that he has also put towards INEC as well. But while he says he understands that the decision of the Supreme Court is final, he does not agree with it. That's very clear from this press conference.
Well, Tolu, you talked about him talking about how all litigations should be concluded before electing winners. And I think that is very, very important because a lot of people have actually pushed for it because, taking a look at it, how do you expect someone who has already been sworn in to, I don't know, it's actually going to cause a lot of rancor if someone who has been sworn in, immediately leaves the office. And then he also talks about, making electronic voting mandatory, which I feel is actually very important, instead of being left behind. A lot of other countries have actually taken up to electronic voting. So why is Nigeria, still lagging behind? And then he talked about, creating a free, fair, and transparent election so citizens can also trust the process, which I feel is also very, important as well.
So a number of things there. He also, of course, as I said, has a lot of recommendation and a lot of angst, I will probably say, for the judiciary as well, that they are no longer being appointed on merits, but on nepotism, and that the court and the judiciary must make sure that they do not lend themselves to politicization. He made mention, of course, recently President Tinubu did announce the appointment of some electoral officials, and Atiku Abubakar made mention of that, saying that electoral officials' appointments have now been hijacked by the ruling party, seen in the recent appointment of people who are even card-carrying members of the APC. He believes he's done his bits in ensuring the democratic process enjoys full disclosure, and he believes that even if the Supreme Court believes otherwise, and that's in relation to the IRF server and uploading of results to the server, that technology is here, that INEC has promised that. The chairman was on TV multiple times saying that this was going to be the method of operation, the modus operandi for the elections, and then INEC went back on its word, and he believes that the court has just allowed INEC to backslide on what is in the law and what INEC itself has promised, and that we must move with the times, ensuring the advent of technology. It's very clear that Atiku Abubakar does believe that he won the February 2023 elections. He will respect no one has a choice, must respect the decision of the Supreme Court. But we're going to see a lot more contention about this particular election for a long time to come. And his final, well, not his final words, but some of the words he said, I'm not going away. So we might be seeing gearing up for 2027 happening now.
Let's hope to see, what happens then.
All right, Dashen, I'll leave you for the rest of the news.
So much,
Thank you so much. We'll continue to see the visuals there. PDP press conference with the presidential candidates of the party, Atiku Abubakar, in the PDP secretariat in Abuja, taking it live. I know that Politics HQ is also going to take this apart, as well as the big story we've been following very closely with Rivers State as well. So I know Dashen has all the details for you. My name is Solulokwe Adele Ribalogun. I leave you now.